Today, I'm upgrading my old computer. A friend of mine dissolved his crypto mining rig, so I was able to get a great deal. I haven't dared to touch a thing, but I think it's safe to say that it needs a little attention. It's slow, blue screening a lot, and just a mess when it comes to cable management and dust. So I checked PC Part Picker and purchased all the parts I wanted for the upgrade. New M.2 SSD, CPU cooler, fans, Wi-Fi card, cables, and a PC case with a 3D printed front panel I designed. At this point of the build, I'm quite confident, even though I have no clue how to actually build a PC. Little did I know that after taking my old system apart, the first thing I did was break not only the CPU, but also the motherboard. The thermal paste was acting like an adhesive. I still don't know if this is normal or not, but I couldn't get the CPU separated from the original cooler, so I accidentally ripped the whole thing out of my AM4 motherboard socket. I suspected that I might have broken my CPU, but I wasn't aware that my motherboard also kicked the bucket. So we continued like nothing ever happened, cleaning and installing all the components. And I was naive enough to not test the system outside the case, and even did the full cable management. Well, you learn from your mistakes. Of course, after noticing that my system wasn't running, I bought a new CPU, and I was very happy to have an excuse to upgrade it. And I went with a Ryzen 9 5900X, one of the faster CPUs available for AM4 sockets. But that generation of CPU wouldn't be compatible with my motherboard without a BIOS update, so I also got a Ryzen 3. My hopes were up, but came crashing back down once installing the Ryzen 3. My computer still did not boot. At this point, I started to get a little nervous. I had absolutely no clue what I was doing, and from my perspective, any component could be damaged. Luckily, my first thought was to replace the motherboard. So after some advice from my best friend, I decided on the Gigabyte A520MKV2. Not only is this board very affordable, but also arrived at my doorstep the very next day. And man, was I ever relieved to see my computer finally booting. Only took 3 days and this much money spent. Here's a time lapse of me putting it together for the very last time. I followed a tutorial on how to tweak my BIOS settings, but I must have done something wrong. After restarting my computer, it was as useful as a wet loaf of bread, which meant I had to clear my CMOS, or whatever you call it. And how do we do that with a cheap motherboard? We remove the battery. And where is it located? Right underneath the GPU. Meaning I had to take it apart again. This happened about 4 times. After all of this, it finally worked perfectly. Here is the before and after comparison running Cinebench. Even though not upgrading my GPU, it still managed to score higher. Maybe because of cooling and the new motherboard. The Wi-Fi card also runs magnitudes faster than the USB antenna I had before. By the way, I don't use this setup for gaming. I use it mainly for CAD, general productivity, and video editing. I'm even editing this video on the new system. It's working fantastic so far. And the front panel I designed really completes the look of this build. Yep, I 3D printed this crazy looking front grille. I didn't like that the original didn't allow for airflow. 3D printing my own enabled me to mount the PSU with a fan facing the outside, sucking in cool air instead of the warm air from the GPU. If you're interested in the 3D files or even the panel itself, please let me know in the comments. Fun things are coming up. I already have great plans for the extra CPU I purchased, so make sure to subscribe and please like this video for general support. Thanks. Alright, that was a lot of fun. Even though a whole lot went wrong, I learned so much about computers, it's kind of unbelievable. Thank you for supporting me. Have a fantastic day. Just noticing my voice is kind of gone.